Are we live? I think we're live. Oh, yes, we are. It's live stream time. I'm Reid Stefan, realest puppet in the game. Welcome, everybody. Sorry, let me mute my phone. So yeah, today, happy holidays. And more specifically, happy Black Friday. It's one of the best days of the year to take advantage of sales across the board. So today we're here to celebrate the best sales in music production. Hello, welcome everybody. Happy to have you all here. Oh, also big news. Me and Kara got engaged on Tuesday. Let's see. So today's Friday. That was 3 days ago. So yeah, lots of huge news this week. All exciting stuff across the board. Thank you so much, Bufo on the beat. Huge congrats on your engagement. All the best from NJ. We're from New Jersey too. Shout out to the East Coast. However, we live in Las Vegas now, so greetings everybody from Las Vegas and welcome to the live stream. I'm going to be talking about some of the best deals this Black Friday, as well as answering your questions from the comments. If you want to check out the picture on my Instagram, I took pictures of it. I also got it on video, but I haven't edited it yet. But you can go check out the pictures on my Instagram. I should actually post them here to YouTube. Thank you, everybody, for the congratulations. I appreciate it. It's very excited. We are engaged now. Can't believe it. The royal wedding is coming next. The realest wedding in the game. We should live stream it on YouTube. That'd be great. That way you guys could all be invited. Be a great networking event, too. Mike G Music says putting Topeka, Kansas on the map. Hey, well, shout out to Kansas. South of France is in the building. I'm just going to say one big thank you to everybody because I see a lot of congratulations in the comments. I appreciate you guys so much. Oh, Bufo says definitely recommend lead vocal sauce for Ableton. I literally use it on every single vocal I work on. It's a true gem. I appreciate you. So like I said, we have a lot here to celebrate. Today is Black Friday. To launch the holiday season, Whole Loops is having its lowest prices of the year. Everything in store is 60% off right now. That includes all of the bundles, Ableton presets like lead vocal sauce, Waves presets like Waves vocal sauce. And I also just dropped, oh man, I didn't even say this yet. The biggest Whole Loops product drop ever was yesterday. All new master chains for every single DAW. Master chains for FL Studio, Logic, Pro Tools, Studio One, and Cubase, as well as the Ableton one, but that one's been out for a while. But this year, Whole Loops has branched out into every DAW. So I highly recommend you check it out because when you get the master chain template, not only do you get a template for your DAW, it includes a course by me, about 10 to 15 minutes long, showing you how I created it, all the plugins, knob positions, basically everything that leads up to you opening up that master chain, you'll learn in this course. So that's FL Studio Master Sauce, Logic Master Sauce. Actually, hang on a second. I got my computer. I got my OBS. Now that I'm a professional at OBS, I could just show you real quick. Hang on a second. Let me click here and then click here. Hey. So here we are on Whole Loops. These are the drum kits right now, but hang on a second. Let me show you. I could scroll down real quick. Oh, here they are. Mastering presets. This is the sauce I'm talking about. So really anything that you use for your mastering is all set up right here. Oh, why is it all wonky looking? Yeah, let me try and fix my OBS. It looks all crazy. Hang on. Let me put this goes like here. Whoa. Wait a second. Hang on. There we go. Oh, that might have fixed it. Boom. I don't know where my camera went, but that's all right. You guys can see the sauce, and that's all that matters. Hang on a second. Let me get my mouse back on the other screen. And then double click here. Sorry, I'm struggling trying to use my mouse and OBS at the same time. So like I said, here we are. All new master chains, sauce for every DAW, made out of 100% stock plugins. Sorry, that was a struggle, guys. You guys, sorry, no Cakewalk. I apologize, Cakewalk users. I haven't opened that one yet. But there is UAD and Ozone and Waves too, which would work in any DAW. When does the sale end? So this is going to go till Cyber Monday. So you have till Monday, and then the prices go back to normal. It's a great question. Yeah, the Black Friday sale time is a real limited edition exclusive offer. Obviously, these mastering presets will always be available. But yeah, so that's what's new at Whole Loops. In addition to that, there's also 2 brand new vocal sample packs. If you've ever seen me talking about my songs getting placed in a commercial or a sample pack or anything like that, you'll recognize the name Easy McCoy, who's the rapper on both of these sample packs. And one is called Easy Anthem Vocals, which are absolute party starters. And the other is called Easy Party Vocals, which would be perfect for like your club bangers. I would say Easy Anthem Vocals would be great for like high energy movie trailers, action-packed styles of music like dubstep and EDM. And Easy Party Vocals would be perfect for like hip hop, R&B, and pop music. But either way, I highly recommend you get either the Easy Vocal Bundle or the Complete Vocal Bundle, because everything right now is 60% off at Whole Loops. And yeah, so that's what's new. But yeah, let's hang on, let me switch back to the camera so you can see my beautiful face. Boom, and we're back. So how about that? I also have a brand new course all about live streaming, cameras, lenses, lighting, like how I make everything look so HD and colorful and nice. That's all available at wholeloops.com. It's called the Content Creation Course. Rodrigo asks, is there a Slate Master Sauce? No, but I did actually do a Slate Master Chain course at mymixlab.com, which actually reminds me, everything is 60% off at mymixlab as well. That's a website of courses by Luca Predalesi and myself, where you can learn all the techniques for mixing and mastering 60% off. That's today only, and again, that sale is going till Cyber Monday, which would be this Monday. So limited time to take advantage of the best sales of the year. So yeah, we do have Slate Master Sauce covered at mymixlab.com. It's just called Slate Master Chain. What's the best budget producing speakers? I highly recommend the Yamaha HS8s, which is what you see behind me. I was producing with those for 10 years before I got the ATCs, which you see beneath them, which have the double cones on them. Great questions, though. Thank you so much for the congratulations. Let's see. I'm trying to scroll up and see some of the questions that I missed while I was answering the other ones. Oh, someone in Europe says it's already Saturday. Well, don't worry. The sale goes until Monday, so you still got time to take advantage of the best prices. And for everybody who's in the United States, happy Thanksgiving. I know I missed that yesterday, but today I would like to wish you a happy Thanksgiving, just a couple hours late. Someone asked, what would you recommend for trap or reggaeton? Well, I would recommend starting with whatever stock plugins your DAW has. So if you're a Logic user, I would say Logic Master Sauce. But if you can ball out on some third-party plugins, probably Waves Master Sauce would be best, or UAD. Depends if you have an Apollo or not. If you had no new budget for a new studio, would you keep the one you use now? Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, I have the budget to get whatever piece of gear I want, but I have everything I want. I could get more analog gear and put more EQs and compressors and stuff, but I just don't want that stuff in my workflow. I don't really like having studios that feel like studios. I like it to feel like a house or a cool experience. Like I got this light show here set up in my studio. So yeah, I would absolutely stay with my setup. I got to pick over time my favorite stuff and build my setup over a couple of years. Raxter says, I learned so much from your content. Keep it up. Thank you so much. I know I was a little slow on my YouTube uploads this year, but I was actually helping Kara build her channel, and you could see a lot of stuff on her channel that we did over the last year if you're interested. But this year is going to be a lot of new content. I already have a bunch of videos planned coming up, so you're in for a treat. Digital Noise asks, what's my opinion on Focal speakers? I like them. I've only heard the biggest, most expensive ones that Luca has in his studio, and they sound incredible, but they're also huge and expensive. So that adds up. I'm not sure about the cheaper ones, though. Music production degree or audio engineering? Well, I would say you could learn either on your own. It's more about what you're going to spend all your time on, not what degree you have, especially more so in this industry than any other industry. It's less about your degree and more about what you've done in your time. Could you make a tutorial on Diamond Lift 3 someday? Luca actually has one on my Mixlab. If you type it into the search bar, you'll find it. What do you think about RME Babyface Pro preamp sound, whatever? I don't like interfaces that aren't Apollos because I would have severe vocal mic latency in my workflow, and it would be miserable. I have so many plugins open while I record that I just need the Apollo with that latency-free console app. So that's really the only thing I could recommend to you guys out of my experience, because that's all personally I do use and feel like I can use. Nobody else did the latency-free mic thing quite like UAD. Steg G asks, Apple M1 MacBook Pro for music production. Mine actually just came in the mail last week, and I'm installing and figuring out which plugins work so I can conduct some fair tests and put it up against my desktop computer. So the review is on the way. I got the 16-inch with maximum specifications. It was pricey, but I hear it's just as fast as my desktop, which is exciting to me. Let's see. See some people saying yes to UAD. Unknown says, hi, I bought the Warm Audio 2A and 76 after watching your videos. What do you think about the 2A as a limiter and 76 as a ratio 8:1 compressor? I actually like to use my analog gear with the least amount of compression as possible. For example, the Tube Tech that you see behind me is on just above a 2:1 ratio. That's because I'm doing dialogue right now. If I was recording singing or something musical, I would record it at a 2:1 ratio. When I do live streaming, I turn the ratio up a little bit more. But yeah, I would say there's definitely going to be a big improvement in your sound, especially if you have a preamp first. If you're running stems out of your interface through the compressors and then back into your interface, you're going to have a little bit of a loss of sound quality because of the A to D converters. But if you're using it to pass your mic through a preamp and then the compressors, you're going to love it. Kenny asks, does Waves Autotune match Antares? Not in my opinion. I don't think any of the clones match Antares. I think they all sound like tuning software. They all sound cheaper, and they all are usually cheaper in price to be competitive. But Sound quality, no, I can hear the algorithms working. I don't like the note selection. No. You really got to go to Antares for great sounding vocal pitch correction algorithms, because every company will offer you vocal pitch correction, but in my opinion, Antares sounds great. The other ones just sound like vocal pitch correction, which to a beginner might all sound the same. Reid, what mic would you recommend under 1K? My favorite $1,000 mic is the Sony C100. It's like the smaller version of the C800, and it's around $1,000, especially if you can find a pre-owned one. Frederick says, my M1 MacBook Air works awesome for music. I'm about to find out once I get all my plugins working. There's so many for me to go through and figure out which ones aren't working, and I want to do a fair test where all the same exact plugins are open on both computers so I can do a fair bouncing race. What's the best yet cheap mic for a home studio? Well, it really depends on what you think is cheap. If you're on the lowest budget, obviously you could just record right into your phone and sound okay. For about $200 or $300, the Sennheiser MK4. For the $500 budget, you can get a Slate ML1 or a Shure SM7B. And then I was just talking about my favorite $1,000 mic, the Sony C100. Let's see. Sorry, I'm reading some of these questions that I missed. I didn't mean to. I didn't freeze. I was just reading. Is the Sony C100 better than the Slate? Yes. It's twice the price, but I think it sounds twice as good. Yes, Ozone does not work. A lot of isotope products don't work on M1 or the Monterey operating system. And unfortunately, my laptop has Monterey shipped on it. So I'm kind of stuck with that. Someone said, I really don't understand that there's major companies still that still are not fully M1 compatible. And I do not mean with... Yeah, apparently it's a challenge. I'm not a developer, but I've heard from developers that it's a big challenge if some system folder is not there anymore that your whole thing used to be installed into, or there's a new security mechanism that blocks your installer. There's a lot of workarounds apparently that need to be figured out, and it's very cost, labor, and time consuming to keep up with the OSs. What do you think about AKG C214 for vocals? I love it. I've used it a few times, and I thought it was a tremendous value for, I think it was $300 or $400. Do you correct vocals manually, or do you just slap autotune? I have the luxury of working with singers who've been practicing and singing for a long time, who don't need much manual pitch correction, and autotune at that point is just a stylistic choice. So I would say I don't do any manual tuning and just slap autotune on there. And if something still doesn't sound good, we'll just sing it again. But to create creative harmonies or maybe experiment with melodies that you didn't sing, manual tuning is always a great option to have. And I still use it all the time. It's just not on everything. Andrew Israel says, Logic Pro Gang. Yeah, if you're a Logic user, you're going to absolutely love the new Logic Master Sauce, available now at wholeloops.com. A master chain channel strip preset made entirely out of stock Logic plugins. And it includes a course too, for you to learn how it was made. You're going to love it, I promise.
Is a Shure SM7B a good mic for vocals? I think I spelled it right. Yes, you did. Or yeah. Absolutely. Mostly for dialogue, especially for people with loud vocal styles. It's a great mic because it won't overload easily. But for people with quieter vocal styles, it might not be loud enough. Do you mix in mono? What are your thoughts about the benefits? Personally, I don't. I've heard that it could help you get better certainty as to whether your song will translate across different sound systems, but I just haven't come across too many mono sound systems in my experience. I would say the main argument was held up when phones had mono speakers in it, but they don't anymore. So I just don't see too many real world applications for that test. I'm more concerned about how it sounds in stereo. Buddy Lee asks, is there a free program you recommend for beginners? I would say just scroll through my YouTube library. You could sort it by most popular and see people's favorite videos, or just go in chronological order and learn it all. Is everything on sale till Monday? Yes, everything will be on sale. Let's see, today's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then so Tuesday it'll be back to regular price. And that's Tuesday, West Coast time here in the United States. Someone asked, what was the first big investment you made? I would say a MacBook Pro. That had to have been. Way back in the day when I got my first laptop. Where can I get the cheapest UAD Apollo interface? Reverb.com or eBay.com. You're going to want to find a pre-owned one because you'll spend half the money that you'll spend on a new one. And if you just need to upgrade your Focusrite or whatever inexpensive interface you're using, a 5-year-old Apollo will still sound better and feel like a huge upgrade. So take advantage of the huge discounts on pre-owned gear. Congratulations for my engagement. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I should probably tell the engagement story. That would be fun. Hang on one second. Let me just let me think about everything that happened here. So today's Friday, so that would mean Tuesday, November 23rd. I snuck out of the house to go check into a hotel room that I booked with a bunch of roses and a light show and decorations and a slideshow of us and a camera and a tripod and the ring. And I was like, hey, Kara, I'm going out to the camera store to buy some camera stuff. I'll be back like in a little bit. And came back a couple hours later and told her that I had made dinner plans. And slowly as we got closer to those dinner plans, I admitted, okay, I actually got a hotel too. So that way we would leave the house with like a change of clothes and stuff that we needed. And then as we got to the hotel, she'd found out that I had already checked in. So as soon as we got into the room, I just got right to it, hit the record button on the camera and asked the big question. So she said yes, and now we're engaged. And you can go check out the pictures on my Instagram. Neverender says, I upgraded my Scarlett to a used Apollo for $300 with a noticeable difference. Absolutely. I think anybody will notice the difference on both the way their mic sounds and the way their speakers sound. Will be noticeably tighter. Someone asked, why do Apollos sound better? Well, there's a couple reasons. Build material qualities could be higher or lower depending on what budget you're trying to make a product for. Second, there's analog to digital converters, and that's what takes the microphone signal and converts it into digital information for your computer to record. And then there's also D to A, which is the opposite, digital to analog. And that's what converts the music coming out of your DAW into speaker signal that goes through your cable into speakers. So there's two different type of converters, and then there's also preamps. And obviously, if you've ever shopped for gear, you could see preamps come in all different price points. So interface makers have the option of like, okay, how much money do we want to make this product cost? And that determines what budget preamp you can put in it. So obviously, you'll get better preamps with better interfaces, better converters, better build quality, or even more inputs and outputs. Is there an inexpensive DSLR camera you can recommend? Honestly, I've been so impressed by the new iPhone that I wouldn't really recommend much of anything in between. The iPhone camera is getting so good that it's really just starting to eat up the cheap DSLR market because you really have to spend quite a bit of money to take a noticeably better picture. So no, honestly, I would just say get the new iPhone. It looks great. But I also really like Canon R5. But that's not even really that cheap. That's pretty expensive. Canon 5D looks pretty good too. Where's the best place to start buying virtual instruments? I'm heading more for the production route, and I'm looking to get Complete 13. That's actually a great place to start. That would actually be my recommendation, unless you're trying to get into sound design where you're really tweaking out and creating your own sounds, in which case I would recommend something like Serum. Nexus is a great kind of in between if you want to do a little bit of both, but Complete is a great option. Rackstar says, Reid, do you have a degree or did you study any courses? I actually have a degree in television production, and then music was just something I was interested in on the side, and it became my main source of income just because I did it so much. And now I'm kind of making television about music, which kind of comes full circle and is a little bit ironic and unpredicted, but that's how life is. Does Auto-Tune Access sound different from Pro, or does it sound weird? Personally, I think it sounds the same as Pro, but you only have 3 retune speeds. So you wouldn't really be able to find the sweet spot for your song unless it happened to be one of those 3 speeds. So I'd say it's different in that respect, but I'm sure if you matched up the knob positions at those exact 3 speeds, it should sound pretty similar. Can you suggest any analog summing gear? Any budget 3-way studio monitor? Analog summing gear, not so much. I've never actually used any. And unless you're trying to just be an engineer for other people who are producers, it's not really a helpful workflow tool. I'm a producer. It wouldn't help in my workflow. Maybe somebody like my friend Luca, who I do all the My Mix Lab courses with, who just mixes other people's songs and sends it back to him finished and doesn't open the project again unless it's for revisions. Once it's done, it's done. You usually don't recall stuff. But I'm constantly recalling stuff, like multiple projects a day. So that wouldn't really be my recommendation. And a 3-way studio monitor, I really like the Yamaha HS8s. It's what you see on top of the pile here in my studio. I've had mine for 10 years and they sound great for the value. Any recommendations for a good desk? I really like my Argosy Halo desk. If you type in Halo Music Desk, you'll see it on Google. Reverbs, delays, flangers, choruses, anything that creates stereo information would obviously be stereo. But to save CPU, keep the mono signal mono and use those plugins all the way up until your wet effects.
Can we just appreciate for a second how small this stream is and how like home it feels? Well, this is my home, and my home isn't really that big, so welcome. I'm glad to have you guys here. Someone said my voice is cutting out. Uh-oh. I don't know, I'm looking at the meter on my computer and it hasn't been cutting out on my screen, so I don't know. If anybody else is hearing my audio cut out, let us know. Do you send your mixes for mastering or do you do it yourself? I do it myself all the way up until it's about to get released, and then I send it for mastering. I always send it to Luca Predalesi. And sometimes there's some plugins in my master chain that I want to keep on there. And I let them know that, hey, like I bounced it with this plugin on the master, like it's a stock Ableton plugin, and I want it to be there. So sometimes I even have some of the master chain in there too when I send it to him. And then he does his thing with it. Is the Kramer master tape a good plugin actually? Yes. I don't really use it on my master. I more would use it on a group, like a drums group or something. Great questions. For anybody who's just joining us, just a quick reminder, everything at Whole Loops is 60% off. Today's Black Friday. You don't want to miss it. Don't say I didn't warn you, because the best sale of the year is not going to last long. It's here till Monday, which is Cyber Monday, and then prices go back to normal. So if you're considering picking up anything, really, that's any plug-in instrument or anything at Whole Loops, now's the best time. Prices are hot. Deals are going fast. What's your go-to transient designer? If I'm looking to dive in and do something specific, the Neutron 2 transient or 3 transient designer. If I want to just do something fast, the Native Instruments Transient Master. It's just got one knob. What do you think is a really underrated plugin? I love this question. Oh, this is a tough one. Man, I got to think about that for a second and come back to you. But I like that. I'm going to answer that one, though. Is Arturia the best keyboard VST for analog gear? I've heard. Personally, I've not used it, but I've heard that it is. But I've also heard people say that they like Omnisphere or Keyscape. Is there a way to gift products from Whole Loops? I want to get someone the content creation course. Yes, absolutely there is. You could put in their email address as the recipient, or if you just send an email to customer service, you can have your purchase transferred over to somebody's account. So either or, you could put them in as the recipient or put yourself, and then we'll just transfer it over to them. And we can make an account for them too. For upcoming artists with really small budgets, is it better to invest more in production or promotion? I would say you want to invest a lot of time in your production and your promotion, because only you can really promote your song. You want to create music that you could talk about and include in content day after day, and then you want to also go ahead and make that content or encourage others to make that content. It's a little bit of both. It depends on where your personal skills lie. Because if you don't know any production, then obviously you probably want to spend most of the money on the production. Any sales on Reason 12, and is it worth buying?
Personally, it's been a long time since I've used Reason. I have Reason 11. But ever since they've announced that you could use it as a plugin in other DAWs, I've been thinking about trying it again. But the DAW itself, I don't know, I haven't found that super useful in a long time. But there is a huge library of sounds for you to play on your keyboard that comes with it, which is really nice. What about Acoustica plugins? Yeah, there's some huge deals today at acousticaaudio.com, like 50 to 60% off. Some of them are even more. What's your favorite VST soft synth? Contact or Nexus? Or Serum. If I'm trying to make my own sound, Serum. Oh, and back to the person who asked what my most underrated plugin is. Probably the OG Camel Crusher. It's an old discontinued plugin, and everyone says that it's like a Logic stock plugin now, but that Logic one doesn't sound the same. So I'm going to say the OG Camel Crusher. What's your favorite sound design effect plugin? Probably the Ableton stock OTT. Nothing really comes close. Not even the Serum OTT. I'm really interested in Ozone bundles for their mixing and mastering. Do you recommend their products? Absolutely. Ozone is a fantastic master chain, and Neutron and Nectar are great mixing plugins. In fact, I have a whole presets Ozone master sauce available at wholeloops.com for 60% off. And anybody who uses Ozone would really like it. Labrea says, realest puppet in the game. That's right. Live on YouTube. Someone said, thanks, Apple, for buying and killing Camel plugins. It's okay. I still have it installed on my computer, so I'm not worried about it yet. But, man, if I lost that plugin, I would be sad. Do you master with Ozone? Yes, I do. Sometimes I use the whole suite. Sometimes I use individual plugins from the advanced bundle. You can check out my Ozone Master Sauce preset for more. What studio do you run out of? My home in Las Vegas. It's not really like a public studio that people are allowed to come to, but it is my studio. Waves or Fab Filter for vocals? I would say Waves for vocals, Fab Filter for everything else. Favorite delay plugin? Waves H Delay. And a close second would be Valhalla Delay. I don't get how people say compressors can sound different. I mostly don't hear the difference. A lot of times the difference is what it does in addition to compression. Like a lot of times I've noticed that RVox will make your vocal feel brighter in addition to compressing it. I've noticed some that make it feel darker and warmer, like the 1176 on the black face makes it feel darker. The blue face makes it feel brighter. It's usually the difference is what it does in addition to compression. Is Trackspacer any different than Nectar 3 unmasking? I would say it's a little easier to set up and more instantaneous, but what it's attempting to do is the same. So it really just comes down to two different developers and algorithms trying to do the same thing. It's hard to really say. But one's definitely quicker to set up than the other. Valhalla Vintage Verb or Room for vocals? I would say Vintage Verb for lead vocals and maybe Valhalla Room for background vocals or ad-libs. Someone says, beware for your wallet. That's right. Today is a dangerous day for everyone's wallets, bank accounts, and PayPal accounts because Black Friday is here. and it is in full effect, and sales are huge. And speaking of that, everything at wholeloops.com is 60% off. I'm talking about all of the best sellers, bundles, drum kits, and everything that you need to sound like a pro this holiday season. Talking about mastering presets, all the brand new stock plugin chains for your favorite DAW. Take a sip of water. Ableton presets, vocal sample packs, just drag and drop vocals, high quality WAV files, pre-mixed, ready for you to drop into your DAW. Of course, bundles, all 60% off. And if you're looking for vocal templates made of stock plugins, IamKara.com has a full selection of every DAW for you to mix your vocals into. You can open up these sessions and record your vocals right into it. And there's one for FL Studio, Ableton, Pro Tools, Logic, Studio One, and Cubase. So that's a huge selection of vocal templates, and you're more than likely to find your DAW in there. In addition to that, you can also learn songwriting for beginners, singing for beginners, and how to create vocal sample packs. And for a more advanced learning experience, there's also My Mix Lab, which is a website I partnered with Luca Predolesi to create full-length courses about mixing and mastering. This week, I dropped a course about UAD console, or if you don't want to become a subscriber, which is only $12 a month or $70 a year during Black Friday, you can pick up any one of our courses individually for 60% off. So if there's just a specific topic you want to learn, there's a huge selection of topics here. Most of the courses are by Luca, some of the courses are by me, and we've covered a lot of the most basic topics that you can learn this year at mymixlab.com. So that's all the best sauce and Black Friday deals from products brought to you by yours truly. Boom. And we're back. Never been a better time to go shopping. Livestream asks, is Ableton your DAW? For making beats, yes. For recording vocals and final mixdowns, I use Pro Tools. Not because it sounds different, but because I like the workflow. What's your opinion on Studio One? It's a great DAW for mixing and mastering, and for recording vocals. You could tell they've taken all the best features from all of the DAWs and combined them into one, but I would say the workflow is most similarly representative to Pro Tools or Logic, maybe mostly Logic. Great DAW for mixing with hardware too. Luca showed me some really cool workflow hacks that Studio One has. But I haven't tried making a beat in it yet. Like I said, just making a vocal template and master chain so far. What's your new secret weapon? Truthfully, I haven't really had a new secret weapon. I've just kind of been sticking to my old favorites, more so than ever. Someone said, can't wait for the MacBook Pro review. It's going to be a banger. I'm going to be comparing it to my Mac Pro, which cost easily 4 times as much. And I'm going to be blown away if it's faster than the bigger computer. That's going to be truly impressive. What do you think of the Plugin Alliance? If you don't have any UAD hardware, I'd say it's a great alternative. They have a lot of the same things that I love from the UAD catalog, but they run internally in your computer. And that could be a good thing or a bad thing, but I use their catalog quite often. I don't say I use most of their catalog, but there are a couple things I use quite often, like the Black Box. They have a really good analyzer plugin called Hawkeye. Like I said, they have some of my favorite native versions of UAD plugins that I love. If you had $200, what plugin bundle would be the most useful? I guess you'd get the most variety and tools from Waves.
because most other companies' bundles are a little more expensive than $200, but Waves is affordable like that. What is your hardware setup? My vocal setup is usually my Sony C800 mic going in through a Vintech X73 preamp and a TubeTech CL1B compressor. And then my Apollo. And then from there, I just use plugins. Do you like SPL Transient Designer Plus? Yes, I do, especially the one with the mix knob on it, which is a special feature that I think just the Plugin Alliance one has, and I don't think the UAD one has the mix knob on it. Apparently there's a Sound Toys bundle for $200. That would be a great option for special effects, but it doesn't really have like the basic compressors and EQs that I'm looking for usually. But great special effects though. Why do most people use FL Studio and Ableton for beat making? Because I'd say those were the DAWs that were most originally optimized for MIDI production workflows, which is a good chunk of modern beat making. Whereas Pro Tools Studio One really optimized for audio. MIDI is, I don't know, maybe more fun in Ableton and FL Studio. Who knows? That's my guess. Should I get the Apollo Twin if I'm not going to be using DSP, no plugins for portability? Absolutely. Because you'll still be able to use console even if you don't have any UAD plugins, which means you'll have latency-free microphone and vocals no matter how many plugins you have open in your session. What DJ deck do you suggest for a beginner in EDM? I have a Pioneer, I think it's called a DJ. It's the all-in-one with 2 decks and a mixer by Pioneer. I forget what it's called, like the XDJR or something like that. Are there any other interfaces that compare to the quality of the Apollo without the DSP? I don't prefer Apollo for the quality. In fact, I've never compared the quality directly. I recommend Apollo for latency free. That's the big thing that a lot of people don't understand they need until they have mic latency when they go and record into their beat and it sounds like an echo no matter what they do. If you have a bunch of plugins open, you have a bunch of latency. That's a promise. Unless you have an Apollo, you're going to have latency. So for that reason, I just use Apollos because it's the only DAW that comes with a great working app for latency-free headphone mixes or dry headphone, whatever you want. But either way, latency-free. Even if your buffer size in your DAW is at 1024. In fact, I never turn my buffer size down at all, ever for anything. There's just not a need when you have an Apollo because the latency-free headphone mix comes from your console app, which runs behind your DAW. So even if you don't use UAD plugins, it's still going to save your workflow. Donnie says, congrats on getting engaged. Thank you so much. The realest wedding in the game is coming next. Someone asked, how does Apollo remove latency? Your headphone mix does not come from your DAW. You mute the channel you're recording onto in your DAW because it's already coming from some other app that runs in the background behind your DAW. It's a little mixer. And you can add plugins or mute or turn up the volume or whatever you want. And it's all latency free. And it runs behind your DAW. And your headphones are always on and your mic is always on, whether your DAW is open or not. That's the magic of it. I normally record without input monitoring, so all the selling points of the Apollo don't really suit me. So if you record with your headphones muted, yes, you probably won't benefit from that. If you ever record somebody else, there's a good chance they're going to want to hear themselves. But if it's forever just for you, then that's not a selling point. You can absolutely take advantage of the less expensive interfaces. I haven't met too many singers that like to be muted in their headphones, though. So for most people, I think the Apollo workflow would be really beneficial. What are the great quality interfaces that may be cheaper than Apollo? The Focusrite Scarlett. I don't even really think there's any point in recommending anything in between, because you may as well just use one until you can afford the other. That's how I see it going for myself and a lot of people. What do you think of Melodyne? It's the best software for manually tuning vocals, for fixing or creating melodies after you've recorded. It's definitely number one, but it's not quick and it's not easy. For that, I like Autotune. Is Serum still worth buying, or is it outdated now? No, I'd say it's still worth buying, especially now that you can import audio samples to create them into wavetables. But then again, it really depends also on what genre of music you're making. Some genres are easier to make in Serum than others. What does it mean when a plugin runs internally in a computer? That's most plugins, actually. That means that your computer's processors are what's running the plugin, whereas UAD is a special circumstance where there's computer processors in your Apollo or your interface that run the UAD plugins for you. Most other plugin brands run internally, or natively is another word they use. Any deals anywhere for Apollos? I would say pre-owned ones on reverb.com and ebay.com would be where the deals are at. Nobody really sells top of the line stuff like Apollos for discount because the company itself isn't really willing to discount them. A lot of the companies like that, like when you're looking for things that cost thousands of dollars, it's tough to find huge discounts. It's usually things that are a little bit more affordable that are easier to discount. Do you put autotune on every vocal track or on a group? Every vocal track. That's a very important tip. You cannot run multiple channels of singing or multiple voices of anything through one autotune. It's one autotune for every one voice layer. And that's why UAD plugins are so handy, because if you have 15 voice layers, 15 autotunes is a huge amount of processing to do internally or natively. But on a UAD satellite card, which has lots of processing boxes, lots of processing cores, in the box, it's no problem. Get to a couple more questions. And then that's going to be it for today's live stream. Do you ever use Autotune Access? Personally, no, because I have the bigger versions. Other than to test it out or do a comparison video, I haven't actually pulled it up in a session. Are there any Pro Tools Black Friday deals? Probably not on the DAW itself, but maybe on some like extra add-ons or something like that, maybe. A lot of times DAWs don't reduce the price. UAD has some great deals on their plugin bundles where you get extra like plugins for the price of 3 or extra plugins for the price of 10. Can you make more low-key production videos in Ableton? I'll try and make my videos as low-key as possible. But yes, I'll make more. Do you have an opinion on split EQ? It's an interesting concept. I haven't dove too much into it yet, but I'm about to. So I'll let you know soon. Favorite preamp for vocals? I really like my Vintech X73. Do you bus all your vocal tracks to one reverb or different reverb buses? I have 3 different reverbs in my template, a short, medium, and long one. And I have the option to send every vocal to any reverb I want. So some vocals get the short ones, some vocals get the long ones, or maybe like the hook will have all the long reverb in it, and the rest of it will be short. It really depends on how I want to build out the mix. But my template usually has 3 reverbs in it. How do you finish the last 10% of a mix to feel satisfied with it? I avoid soloing things. That's my number one tip. Because the last 10% of your mix, more than ever, is about how your sounds work together, not what any individual sound sounds like. So that would be my number one tip. Someone said M1 will make UAD processors obsolete. Probably not, because in addition to being a kind of speed booster for your computer, it's also like an iLock for UAD plugins. So it serves multiple purposes. Could you make a great mix with just Ableton plugins? Absolutely. After using all these different DAWs to do a mix and master, I would say Ableton had some of the best plugins for it. My second runner-up for that would be Studio One. And for everybody who just joined, today is the biggest Whole Loops product drop there ever was, because I just launched Logic Master Sauce, FL Studio Master Sauce, Pro Tools Master Sauce, Studio One, Cubase, and then of course the Ableton one was always there. But in addition to the templates, now that's a course too that shows you how the template was created and how you can master your track like a pro with just stock plugins in your DAW. So right now, all of that is 60% off at Whole Loops, and I highly recommend you check it out. And with that being said, I'm going to wrap up today's live stream. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Enjoy your holiday shopping. Happy Black Friday, and I'll catch you guys next time in another live stream. Peace out.